Hello and welcome to my channel, I Went to Lose Gaming. Since my last Constellation Zero Raiden showcase, we have had some more time to farm for weapon and for talent material. In this video, I will demonstrate what a peak potential free-to-play Raiden at Constellation Zero can do. The first thing we need to do is define what peak potential free-to-play means. So when I say peak potential, this is not for the faint of heart. This is for those hardcore free-to-play players that will min-max their favorite characters. Wildly enough, there are already free-to-play Raidens that are similar in power to my Raiden in this video, so this is far from unachievable for free-to-plays. So how do I define peak potential free-to-play in this video? Well, everything must be free-to-play accessible. This means that any gacha exclusive 5-star weapons and even 4-star weapons are generally off limits. Supports are assumed to have been built to an F2P reasonable level. By now, everyone's accounts are so different that it's impossible to say what a player has or doesn't have. However, I will do my best to normalize for a well-invested free-to-play player's experience that has been playing for a while. Remember, this is peak potential, so it's not based on free-to-plays that started playing last month, but instead, this is for free-to-plays that have played for a while. Also, have I been saying that F2P stands for free-to-play? In the case of Raiden, F2P stands for fish to play, because that is what you need to do for a really long time in order to get the weapon used in this video, which is the catch. My Raiden is at Constellation Zero throughout this entire video, and her talents are at 6, 6, and 9, simply by crowning her burst, which is highly recommended, yields around 6% more damage. This doesn't even include additional levels on her elemental skill, but this lack of talent levels can be compensated for the fact that my artifacts will likely be a little bit better than a peak potential fish-to-play players. Speaking of artifacts, fish-to-plays are expected to farm 1 to 3 months for their main characters. This may sound outrageous, but that's about how often a fish-to-play would get new 5-star characters anyway. In this video, I used 2 builds with her, the first being a well-rounded crit rate to crit damage build, and the second with higher crit damage for nuke showcases. Again, these artifacts may seem crazy to many of you, but they are nothing that a couple months of farming cannot come close to. Next, let's talk about supports. Although every fish-to-play Raiden owner obviously has Raiden and can achieve my Raiden setup, supports are extremely messy. Some fish-to-play players probably still don't even have Bennett, and some fish-to-plays on the other hand may have a Constellation 5 Bennett with the Aquila Favonius. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of a gacha game. When a support is used, I use the power of math to normalize my supports to be at the approximate strength of a reasonable fish-to-play players. Starting with one of the most important supports in the game, Best Boy Bennett. A good F2P Bennett build is Constellation 1, level 80 out of 90, with a level 90 prototype Rancor, and level 9 burst. This puts his attack buff at 856 attack. My Bennett has a level 60 out of 70 Alley Flash, which puts his attack buff at 851 attack. And yes, I made this weapon specifically just for this. He has the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige equipped. Next we have Sara. Sara is not a character that even whales have fully built yet, but looking into the future, we can expect Sara to be at a similar level of investment to the previous Bennett setup. So her settings will be at Constellation 0, level 80 out of 90, with a level 90 Black Cliff or Sacrificial Bow, and a level 9 E. This puts Sara's attack buff at 546. Shockingly, even with my Skyward Harp equipped on her, since her elemental skill is only at level 6 right now, she is at a 522 attack buff, which is still less than the aforementioned 546 attack buff. I do not use Sara for damage, which the Skyward Harp helps a lot with, but primarily just for buffing Raiden's damage throughout this video. Sucrose is our go-to 4-star Viridescent Veneer unit. It also helps that she happened to be on Raiden's banner. She is using a Refinement 5 Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers with just whatever Elemental Mastery Viridescent Veneer main stat artifacts that I have. The next character whom many fish-to-plays may have, and may also not have, is Kazuha. Now, I only use Kazuha for a couple of nuke showcases. He is normalized to a free-to-play Kazuha, which normally has around 750 elemental mastery. Nothing else matters on Kazuha besides having the Viridescent Veneer and a lot of elemental mastery. So my Kazuha is rocking 733 elemental mastery. The last 2 characters I use as supports are Yanfei and Xiangling. Yanfei is a Thrilling Tales bot with the tenacity of the Millilith, and Xiangling is a Pyro Applicator bot to get rid of Electro Shields, and also a Millilith user, and Xiangling is using a level 1 Favonius Lance. The goal of this video is to demonstrate how powerful, or how weak, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it, a peak potential F2P Raiden Shogun is. Again, since I'm a whale, I'm able to rush to this power cap much more quickly than an actual fish-to-play player can. And with the power of math, I can then normalize my supports to be equivalent to that of a fish-to-play. Without further ado, let's get started with everyone's favorite volunteer and punching bag, the Cryo Regiswine. We'll start off with her burst damage with no beneficial resonances and with minimal resolve. As you can see, a minimal resolve Raiden with no buffs wasn't able to take out our best plant friend. But now let's try this with the maximum 60 resolve. With 60 resolve, Raiden was able to cleanly knock out the Cryo Regiswine with no other supports buffing her damage. It's always important to note that Genshin Impact is not a solo character game, so let's try using some supports with her, and we'll take this fight to a much tougher boss, the Primo Geo Bishop. Thanks to her super armor during her burst and Bennett's healing, Raiden is able to face tank and dish out some serious damage. Admittingly, the rotation for this group of supports thanks to Sara is a bit awkward, but it's manageable nonetheless. Thanks to Raiden's amazing team energy regeneration, both she and Bennett were able to get their bursts back up for a quick round 2 to finish off the Primo Geo Bishop in a fluid and seamless 2 cycles of Raiden's burst. But now let's try pushing this fish-to-play Raiden's damage to the limit. We'll be using the previously shown crit damage build, Food, and the F2P Kazuha and Yanfei builds from earlier. Now that's pretty impressive, 265,092 damage, and a clean 1 cycle of the Primo Geo Bishop. Keep in mind that the Primo Geo Bishop has around 800,000 hit points, so not only did the first hit of her burst do 265,092 damage, but her sword attacks did over 500,000 damage. And now let's push her damage even further to see the largest peak fish-to-play damage per thumbnail we can achieve. We can do this against the Perpetual Mechanical Array, which when it's crippled, has negative 20% resistance. $322, 721 damage. Considering everything in this team is fish-to-play achievable, assuming you have the characters, this is a very impressive showing for our Raiden Shogun. So as always, we will take this to Abyss 12. Since I still really wanted to focus on Raiden's damage, we'll be using Bennett, Sucrose, and Xiangling. Again, Xiangling is built to do very little damage with a level 1 Favonius Lance and with a hodgepodge tenacity of the Millilith set. The main reason Xiangling is here is for the ridiculous Electro Infusion Shield in 12-1-1 that procs every 15 seconds and would otherwise ruin Raiden Shogun. Without any way to remove those shields, these floors would be complete hard counters to Raiden. Fortunately, with the proper buffs and everything, Raiden's personal damage when amplified is more than enough to clobber this floor into submission. However, it's definitely worth noting that even with terrible Millilith artifacts and a level 1 Favonius Lance, Xiangling is still outputting some serious damage. Yeah, that's just how crazy Xiangling is. Anyway, 12-1-1 was completed in a healthy 53 seconds. 12-2-1 is, in my opinion, the easiest chamber in this abyss. but not for the Raiden Shogun unfortunately, and this is thanks to the Electro Lava Troll heavily resisting Electro, with or without his shield up. Fortunately, as mentioned earlier, Xiangling is here to help remove the Electro Shield, and as an added benefit, to help break the Abyss Mage's shield. If you pay attention, Raiden did 181,000 damage to the Abyss Mage, which pretty much one-shotted it. Then it was a matter of fighting lightning with lightning to take out the Electro Lava Troll. 1231 is finally an area where nothing heavily resists Electro. Thanks to building up Resolve and the Abyssal Moon, Raiden can handily take out the first robot. Then, with a lot of luck and the last 3 robots behaving exactly as you need them to, Raiden was able to annihilate the last wave. So there you go, my final showcase for a Constellation Zero Raiden with a fish to play build and fish to play normalized supports. I figured I'd try something a little bit different than usual due to the way Raiden was released, and how it took some time to properly farm her up to peak fish to play performance. In my opinion, I think her damage output, even while being played as the main DPS, is fairly reasonable. She's able to provide herself and Bennett with amazing uptime for her rotations. However, if you fail to take something out with her burst, and if you rely on her as the main DPS, you need to wait for at least 7 to 8 seconds for her burst to come back up in order to finish the job. Sadly, at this point I don't even accurately remember how powerful other main DPS characters are at peak free-to-play performance, so if some of you would like to comment on how you think Raiden performed in comparison, I'd love to see that. Overall though, I've had a lot of fun exploring this character and pushing her to the limit. Let me know what you think about this methodology and Raiden's performance. Also, I regularly make Genshin Impact videos ranging from C0 showcases, DPS showdowns, guide videos, and more. So be sure to smash the subscribe button as it's the best and easiest way for you to support my work. Also, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Win to Lose, signing out.